What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh. This is Native Nomads, and today we're going to be discussing the Prinsu rack for your Lexus GX460. So before we get started today, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video and every video you will see here on the channel, and that is Adventure Rig Shop. AdventureRigShop.com is where you can find pretty much all the things I talk about that are on the Lexus GX460. You will be able to find it there. I will put a complete list of the parts and components that I have on my GX460 in the description, because today we are only talking about the Prinsu rack. And if you go to Adventure Rig Shop and you do end up purchasing something, use the code NOMAD at checkout to save yourself 5%. All right, so let's talk Prinsu rack for your Lexus GX460. The Lexus GX460 is to me, it's like one of the greatest vehicles. I absolutely love it. I enjoy driving it. It drives well. It has a V8. All of those things are fantastic, and I'm super stoked to have the Prinsu rack on it. I have had the Prinsu rack on my Super Outback Wilderness, and if they made one for my Sprinter 170, I would have got the Prinsu rack for that vehicle as well, but they don't make them. They only make them for like an older model year Sprinter, so it wasn't something that I wanted to do. There was really no point in it. My favorite part about the Prinsu rack, and what I would highly recommend you take a look at, is the fact that the Prinsu rack bolts directly to the top rails of your Lexus GX460. You do not need to make any penetrations or drill anything. The simplicity of this install is absolutely paramount to everything else that I've done. I've had a Ram Power Wagon, excuse me, that I've had to drill into. I had my Jeep Gladiator I had to drill into. I used a different rack, but I had to drill into it. Same with the Jeep JL. I had to drill into that. It was a different rack, but I still had to drill. The not having to drill, if you have a 4Runner or a GX460, the Prinsu rack is the single best rack that you can get, because it just attaches directly to the factory crossbars or factory cross rails. You just pop the clips off. You take the piece off, you set it directly in the channels, and you tighten it down. Now, the sleekness of the rack is why I've always liked it. They just came out with a new rack. I have no interest in getting the new rack. I think it's slightly more expensive, but at the end of the day, it just doesn't provide me any more additional options than what I have now. It does look a little different. It has, you know, some different design characteristics, but at the end of the day, all I need is a functioning rack that is very low profile to my roof. So when I don't have my tent on there, I'm not wasting gas mileage by having any type of additional protrusions. I'm sure it does reduce my gas mileage slightly. Anything on your roof that takes away from the aerodynamics will slightly reduce your gas mileage. I drive a V8. I'm not here for gas mileage, and I don't think any of us who drive GX460s are here for gas mileage, so that's probably a very small concern for you. But the attachments that are available are pretty much endless. I use Rhino Rack Stowits. So my shovel is attached to my roof with Rhino Rack Stowits. They are not designed for the Prinsu rack, but if you're slightly handy or creative, you can make them work. I just had to add a small rubber bushing to the bottom of the Stowit, so when it sat down on top of the 80/20 crossbars, it was able to sit snug and flush. That way it wouldn't jiggle or move around. That's the only modification I had to make, is a rubber bushing, and it solved all my problems. But the Prinsu rack is all an aluminum construction. It comes all powder coated. I have all CBI off-road as well as Prinsu, which is the same company, just different subs or different sectors of the same company. Their powder coat is top notch. The rack came with absolutely no flaws, no issues, no concerns about its durability or its ability to last in pretty crappy, harsh conditions. I live in Ohio, and right now, I mean, it's going to be snowing soon. It's going to have really crappy weather, and it's going to get beat up. But even on my Outback Wilderness, the only rusting issues that I had on that Prinsu rack was where I over-torqued the bolts that connect the 80/20 crossbars to the side rails of the rack. I was using an impact. I over-torqued it. It stripped out some of the metal. Therefore, some of that metal was exposed to the elements. That metal ended up... Sorry for the weird cut there. My battery died. I was trying to get it in there before the battery died, and it died on me. So the only rust I had was with the screws, and I over-torqued them. But outside of that, I've had absolutely no issues whatsoever with the rack. Now, when you're putting it on, it's best if you have a second hand because you need to assemble the rack on the ground. There is a video that Prinsu created. I will put that link in the description, or you can just search Prinsu rack install Lexus GX460. It'll come right up. It's probably the first one, and it's an absolutely fantastic representation of what the installation process is like for your Prinsu rack on your GX460. You know, a lot of manufacturers put product videos out and install or how-to videos out, and they make it look effortless. And every time I watch one, I know it's not like that. That is not what it's like. I have installed maybe thousands of things on my vehicles, and every install video I watch, and I just know in the back of my mind that it's not going to be that easy, and I just have to like brace myself for that. So the reason I say that is Prinsu's rack genuinely is that easy. It's absolutely simple. The one thing that I would recommend that you do is you follow the instructions to a T. It's very easy to start jumping ahead of yourself, but just take each step as it goes. And one pro tip for your for your Prinsu rack on your GX460 is the 80/20 crossbars that come with your rack. Do not put all of those on while that thing is on the ground. Just put one in the front and one in the back to stabilize the rack so you can get it on your roof. It makes it much lighter to put up there, and you can absolutely do it with one person, especially if you have, just like a blanket you can lay over top of your GX460, like a moving blanket. You can just set it up there and kind of then position it where you need it, and you could install it yourself. And there's a bug, freaking bugs. But that is the one thing that I would say is put a bar up front, put a bar in the back, tighten them down, and then put your rack on. Multiple reasons. The weight is one major reason, but the other reason is because you don't know where you're going to need those other bars based on the attachments that you're going to be putting on your roof. If you're going to be putting a rooftop tent on your roof, I have an iCamper and I just took it off, and I got it situated before I head on my next trip because I'm not going to be camping in the tent. So I took that thing off, but when I put it on, it's kind of hard to get your hands in there. So you have to be careful of what are the attachments, and just be mindful, I guess is the point I'm making. Just be mindful of the attachments that you're going to have. I have a shovel and I have max tracks on my roof rack. Well, you have to put those in based upon where the max tracks are going to sit. So you have to adjust your 80/20 crossbars. And if you get them all put in and then you go to put your attachments on, you're going to have to take them back off to get them positioned appropriately so you can put the attachments on your rack. So that is one of the things that I would say. The reason I'm making this video is because this product has been on 2 of my vehicles now, and I have had absolutely no issues with it. And if you are building a Lexus GX460, I don't think there is a better looking option, especially when there's nothing on it. It gives it a completely different, more aggressive look than anything that you could probably imagine, or I don't think anybody makes a rack that looks this good. Front Runner's rack for the GX460 is a really nice rack. It's really pretty, but it does not have that streamlined look. The Prinsu rack almost looks like it could come from the factory that way, and that is another reason why I love it. If you have a water port like I do, they actually have an attachment for your water port. So depending upon, if you need to have your water port attached to your roof, you don't need it all the time, but when I need it, I can toss my water port on top of my rack and just attach it with the Prinsu rack attachment that comes for the water port. It's super simple. They have shovel mounts. They have all the mounting solutions that you would need in order to take the gear that you need to take on the trips that you plan to go on. So it's a really easy and simple install. The all aluminum construction, the 40-inch light bar cutout is another thing that you should be mindful of. Some 40-inch light bars are not 40 inches. Some of them are 41 or 42. And I believe the max size that you can have on your Prinsu rack is 41.5 or 41.25 inches long. So you need to make sure if you're going to put a light bar on your Prinsu roof rack, then you just got to make sure that it is pretty much exactly 40 inches. The one that I have on my GX460, I got off Amazon. It cost me $100. I have one on the Subaru Outback, and I also have one on the GX460. It was extremely inexpensive, and that thing has been through hell and back. So I just know that for $100 you can get a really well functioning light bar. It's probably not going to be as bright as a $600 or $700 or $800 light bar, but if you have $600 or $700 or $800, spend it on that. I don't really care. If you want to save some money, I will put the link in the description about the 4-wheel drive King light bar that I've had. I've used it. I paid full price for it. They don't pay me to say this. I'm just telling you, it is the most robust $100 thing I've ever bought off Amazon, and it's lasted me for years. So it's something to take into consideration if you want to put a light bar on your Prinsu rack, which I would highly recommend it because I think it makes it look even better. But for about $1,000, you can have probably the best looking rack for the GX460 available, and you can put it on your truck. I know that they're probably, I don't know when you're going to see this video, but Black Friday, they probably are going to have a Black Friday sale. The link is in the description if you want to purchase the rack from Adventure Rig Shop. That would be cool. If not, you can wait for the Black Friday sale. But if you're looking to get a rack for your Lexus GX460 and you just don't know where to go and you're kind of doing research, I'm here to tell you, I don't get paid to say this. They're not paying me. Prinsu's not a sponsor. I don't get anything from them. I paid full price for my rack, both racks as a matter of fact, the one on each vehicle, and it's the best rack that I have ever purchased ever. I'm super stoked to have it. You will be too when the time comes that you make the purchase, but it's something that I feel is important because I did do the install on the rack. I always do my rack installs because it's really not that hard and I like to learn. So it's something that you could do with your wife, your brother, your cousin, your neighbor in your garage in probably about 2 hours just by reading the instructions or watching that video. So that's all I have. I just want to give a shout out to Prinsu and the CBI guys because they make killer products. All of my stuff is CBI and Prinsu, and I love all of it. The powder coat is great on all of it. Just great. So if you like the video, it was helpful and it helped you make a decision, that's great. Please like it, share it, subscribe to the channel so you can come along for more adventures, and I will see you on the next one.